Cheesecake has long enjoyed great popularity across our land. But no, I'm talking about actual cheesecake. Best to wash it down with some coffee, though. Rose Mitchell and Nancy Giles share the honors.
You can order just about anything to eat at Junior's restaurant in Brooklyn, but really, everyone's here for one thing.
You know, when you say cheesecake in New York, people say Junior's.
Alan Rosen's grandfather started the place 60 years ago, serving cheesecake that's become world famous.
My grandfather, when we first opened, said, if we're going to be a great restaurant, we have to have great cheesecake.
Now they churn out thousands a day.
One time in the foot pump.
One time in the center.
Okay.
But this fan favorite got its start far from Cheesecake Corner.
We have the first records of cheesecake going back 2,200 years to Greece.
Food historian Andy Smith says the first cheesecake recipe appeared in a book by the Roman politician Cato.
He certainly is thought of as the father, the real father of cheesecake history.
The simple crust filled with sheep's milk was brought to this country by European colonists. Today's cheesecake took shape when a New York farmer created cream cheese, giving it the Philadelphia name.
Philadelphia brand.
Which was a fashionable marketing ploy at the time.
Restaurateurs began to experiment with this Philadelphia cream cheese, and they began making all sorts of things with it, but one of the things happened to be cheesecake, and that became very popular in the 1920s, 1930s.
So popular that pinup girls of the era were called cheesecake girls because they looked so good. And it helped the Golden Girls through many late-night chats.
I want to have cheesecake. Is there cheesecake?
Nearly every culture makes its own version.
You have to get the people to taste it first, to understand it, and once they do, they prefer that it got the cheesecake.
Gus Isgro's family has been making Italian cheesecake at its bakery in Philadelphia since 1904.
You start out with a good quality ricotta, and you can see how moist it is, much more so than a cream cheese.
And the recipe hasn't changed in more than 100 years.
What am I looking for here?
If you notice the creaminess of the cheese itself, that's what makes the ricotta cheesecake very good.
Gus's family recipe may not have changed, but cheesecake sure has. Anna Toole Hutchins Company, Sauber M, in Naples, Florida, makes wine and champagne cheesecakes.
Edible gold.
That's right, edible gold.
Who doesn't like champagne and chocolate? I think that's pure heaven. Heavenly
indeed. But the world's most expensive cheesecake is found at Saks Fifth Avenue for $325. However, for many people, a $6 slice at Junior's is just right.
Alan, any idea how many calories are on this table?
I have no idea. More than a few.
More than a few. Shall we dig in?
Sure.
That's pretty good. Very, very good.
And you know what would go great with this?
Coffee. You know, I remember my first cup of coffee. Actually, it was my first 4 cups. I was a freshman in college, leaving the cafeteria, heading to a final exam, when I heard these 2 geeky guys say that it was a scientific fact that drinking 4 cups of coffee before an exam would improve your grade. Well, I turned right back around and downed 4 cups, loaded with sugar and half, so it would taste less coffee-like. I got a B- on the exam, and I couldn't sleep for 2 nights. Coffee was much simpler in those days.
I'll always be a Maxwell housewife.
You got it at the A&P and made it in the percolator at home. And then there was instant coffee. Remember Sanka?
Sanka, huh?
Ordering coffee was simple, too. Light and sweet, regular, black.
This is Mr. Coffee.
At some point, Mr. Coffee exploded onto the scene. And from there, well, things just got really complicated. Venti breve, half calf, half skinny, extra hot soy gingerbread macchiato con pane with a caramel drizzle? What happened? Was it the yuppies' fault? Was it their need for bigger, more expensive and exotic coffee makers? A dizzying array of choices, pods, packets, and these little milk frothing thingies? I mean, it's gotten to the point that if you don't grind your own beans, you don't want anyone to know, because the bean pedigree is oh so important.
This is from the Sidamo region in Ethiopia.
I turned to James Freeman, self-described coffee lunatic and founder of Blue Bottle Coffee, for answers to my burning coffee questions. Is it true that if you drink coffee, it can make you smarter? That's
smarter, funnier, attractive, healthier, everything.
Well, okay then.
What you want to do is you want to agitate a little bit.
And make it mad, agitate?
Exactly, yeah.
James taught me about cupping, which I learned is an acquired skill. And if bury your face, like wine tasting. First there's sniffing, then pouring.
The spout is very focused.
Then more sniffing. You really are a brown noser then, right?
That's right.
Then slurping. That's the technical term. You said lips parallel to the table?
You'll get a better slurp.
James used to make his living playing the clarinet. Making great music, he says, is not all that different from making great coffee. So there's music to coffee.
Yeah,
coffee
everything
has sings.
I love the Java jive and it loves me.
Java. This gets inverted, sort of like your water cooler in your office.
Okay. James brews iced coffee in a kind of Rube Goldberg contraption for 12 hours.
Now we adjust the drips. They should go about 88 beats per minute.
Like a metronome?
Exactly. It's the last movement of the Mozart Clarinet Concerto.
That is coffee. Whoa.
Coffee, water, time, and that's it.
Coffee, water, and time. Wow. Now I get it. I'm late. I gotta go.